Hello and welcome here to Talk FCB and welcome here to reaction from the Champions League draw which has just taken place in Neom, and the quarter-final teams have been drawn and we do now have all of our quarter-final ties which will be played very shortly indeed. The first legs will be on the 3rd and 4th of April, that'll be the first legs, and then the return legs will be played on the 10th and 11th of April. So taking place next month, it's all coming thick and fast, and we do have the confirmed ties from the draw, and I have to say there's some really interesting ones in there. From a personal perspective, yesterday we spoke about Sevilla, we spoke about Roma as potentially on paper the easiest teams. I think a lot of us wanted Real Madrid. That hasn't happened, but we have been drawn Roma, and that was the very first ball out. Shevchenko was doing the draw, he drew Barcelona, we were drawn first, which means we'll play the first leg at home, the return leg then will be from Rome, that'll be the second leg, but we have been drawn against Roma, technically one of the easiest teams in the draw, but of course any team who gets to the quarterfinal stage can still be a threat. We've got to take them fully seriously. We cannot underrate anybody in this competition, but I am happy with this. I am happy with the draw. I think this is a decent draw for us. We've obviously got a few doubts about whether Busquets will be back for that first leg. Now there's not as much pressure, but obviously, like I say, we want all our best players available. Roma will be our opponent for the quarterfinals, and Roma have never won the Champions League before. We have faced them before in the competition. Cast your mind back pretty recently actually to the 2015 season. They were actually in our group that year in 2015 under Luis Enrique. Away from home was a 1-1 draw. I think you all remember it mostly for Rafinha picking up that season-ending injury, but at home we absolutely demolished Roma. It was a fantastic result on the night. 6-1 it finished in the group stage, and I was actually at the camp now for that game, and it was a complete demolition. One of the best Champions League performances I've seen for a long time in terms of the way we went about it. We scored a lot of goals past them. I think a lot has changed since then. I think Roma have become a lot more solid. They're a better team now, no doubt about that, but we would still expect to beat Roma over 2 legs. They lost away at Shakhtar Donetsk in the first leg of their last 16 tie, and they actually went through on away goals. 2-1 they lost away from home. They got 1-0 at home thanks to an Edin Dzeko goal. He'll certainly be the man to watch out for Roma, but overall it's decent for us. The next tie drawn was Sevilla drawn first against Bayern Munich. Sevilla reaching this stage for the first time in their history, beating Manchester United in the last round, incredibly winning at Old Trafford just a few days ago, and they have been rewarded with a tie against Bayern Munich, who absolutely trounced really Besiktas. 8-1 on aggregate they got through to the quarter-final stage, and this one is going to be really interesting. Obviously Bayern Munich massive favourites in this, but Sevilla right now have got a lot of confidence. They're a very inconsistent side right the way through the season so far. They've been inconsistent. Some days they can be fantastic, other days, you know, they can concede a lot of goals and be a really poor side. So it's going to depend on which Sevilla turns up. The first leg will be in Spain, the second leg then back at Bayern, where I'm sure they'll be likely to go through, but it'll still be interesting to see how this one turns out. Sevilla against Bayern is the second tie. The third tie drawn in this quarter-final was an exact repeat of last year's final. Juventus will play Real Madrid, and I personally think in terms of this tie alone, Real Madrid will be pretty happy with that. They have got the massive psychological advantage against Juventus. In last year's final it was 1-1, wasn't it? You know, it's all in the balance, but then Real Madrid took it away from them. They've got a massive advantage in this. They'll fully believe that they can beat Juventus, and Juventus, Real Madrid would have been one of the teams they were thinking, please don't draw us against. But as you've seen this season, Real Madrid in the league, they can also be a bit inconsistent. They can be got at if Juventus have enough confidence, like they showed really in the last round against Tottenham. They went into that having drawn 2-2 at home. They really got themselves back in the tie. Dybala and Higuain scoring at Wembley against Tottenham, and Juventus finding their way through to the next round. But obviously Real Madrid got pedigree in this competition, won it back-to-back. They're massive contenders for the trophy, and they'll certainly be expecting to win this game after, of course, they saw off Paris Saint-Germain in the last round 5-2 on aggregate. But that one, a repeat of last year's final. Juventus against Real Madrid. And the final tie drawn for this quarterfinal stage was an all-English affair. Obviously, when the draw was being made, we all knew this was going to be the last one out of the hat. It was decided what was going to happen. Liverpool against Man City. Obviously, at this stage of the competition, there are no restrictions. Earlier on, you can't draw teams of your own country. But as you go deeper into the draw, no restrictions at all. Liverpool drawing City. And this is another tie, really, that's going to be very, very interesting indeed. Simply because Man City this season in the Premier League have been absolutely relentless, really, really impressive. They've been on form, they've been playing spectacular football, they've been scoring goals, they've been pretty tight at the back. Liverpool are one of those teams, though, that you feel on a sort of one-off game, even though it's over two legs, at Anfield on a European night, potentially they could get at Pep Guardiola's team. But I would certainly expect over the two legs, Man City with a second leg at home, they would certainly be favourites going into this game. But Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool, with their fans at Anfield, they will give it a mighty good go. And an all-English affair completes this quarter-final draw. So, we have Barcelona against Roma. That will be the quarter-final stage. First leg on the 3rd and the 4th of April. Return leg on the 10th or 11th of April. That will be the second leg. In the second tie, Sevilla against Bayern Munich. Juventus against Real Madrid. A repeat of last year's final. And then an all-English affair between Liverpool and Manchester City completes this quarter-final draw. And it's going to be very, very interesting. Obviously, if you're looking at this draw and looking at maybe who will go through to the semi-finals, looking at just on paper and possibly previous meetings, how the teams have looked this season, Barca against Roma, like I say, we will be happy with that draw. We will feel definitely like over two legs, we can get the better of Roma. And it's something that hasn't really happened much in recent years at all. Every single season, we do tend to get really, really tough draws. We haven't really got a team like this. Like, I'm no disrespect to Roma. I'm not saying they're an easier team. But out of all the teams that were on that list, your Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Manchester City, Roma is an easier draw for us, and that's not something that happened recently, so we should certainly take this and be very happy with the draw. We've got a quarter-final here that we have to feel like we can win. We've got to turn up, we've got to play well, but we will certainly be favourites there against Roma. In terms of Bayern against Sevilla, even though Sevilla caused a massive upset against Manchester United, I think in some ways that was more about the way United set up. United set up not to lose the game. They were very negative. They've got a lot of problems right now under Jose Mourinho, and I think it was more Man United's downfall than Sevilla being excellent. So I would certainly say Bayern Munich, big favourites to get through to the semi-finals. Real Madrid against Juventus, this could in some ways go either way. I think Juve have started to recapture their best form. They're back top of Serie A now. They're doing well again in the league and look on course potentially to win yet another league title. But can they beat Real Madrid? They didn't do it in last season's final. They haven't done it now. You know, they've got a bit of a thing hanging over them with Real Madrid. Like I say, there'll be a big psychological advantage for Real Madrid in this one. I would personally go with Real to progress. And Liverpool against City, I think is actually quite close. I don't think City are going to walk it, but I would say over two legs under Pep Guardiola, the way they've been playing this season, you would have to fancy Manchester City to come out on top in that one. So potentially the semi-final matches could be very, very nicely poised. It could potentially be Barca, Bayern, Real Madrid and Manchester City. And if that gets to that stage and all four teams progress, those are going to be some absolutely incredible semi-finals. But to get to that stage, everybody has to do their job and everybody has to perform as expected. But like I say, in terms of our own personal draw, we've got to be happy with that. We'll be talking a lot more about it in the recent weeks to come, you know, when we're looking at it in a bit more detail, the build of the game, looking into Roma in a bit more detail. All of that will be to come on the channel, guys. But I want to know your thoughts now, because we spoke about yesterday, who do you want in the draw? What kind of teams do you want to face? A lot of us, like I say, thinking about Real Madrid. A lot of us as well, looking at the teams like Roma and Sevilla. Who did you guys want? Did you want Real? Did you want somebody like Roma? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments, guys, on this draw. And not only our tie, what do you think of the other ties as well? Who do you think is going to come out on top? Are you happy with how it's gone? Are you excited for the draw? Let me know all your thoughts and your comments, guys, down below. And like I say, there will be more videos coming up very, very soon, looking at these games in more detail, looking at our own personal game against Roma, and of course lots more going on the channel. We face Athletic Club on Sunday, and the build-up for that will be starting tomorrow, make no mistake about that. So I'll see you soon, guys. Thank you as always for joining me here. The Champions League draw is done. The quarter-finals are on. I'll see you soon, but until then, as always, Vesca El Barça.